When it comes to doing Kickstarters for launching your novel, are you allowed to use AI generated art? We have lots of conversations here on the channel. I'll link the playlist down below on how you can creatively, ethically, and legally be using AI in the publishing space and how you cannot. But let's check in with everybody's favorite IP and entertainment lawyer, Tony, to find out more on this topic.
My name is Tony Oikasas. I'm an adjunct professor of entertainment law and IP at New York Law School, and I have an Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok account called The IP Professor that is dedicated to all things intellectual property.
We've been talking about the legal side of how people are using Kickstarters to launch some of their books, Tony. But one of the conversations that everybody's been having is around AI-generated art as rewards for some of those different levels in these Kickstarters for book launches. So can you speak to the legal side of this?
Yeah, so we've talked about it before on previous episodes. Check out the playlist. But we've made it very clear that anything generated using artificial intelligence is not worthy of copyright protection. So I feel like I need to preface it that way because I think that there are a lot of authors or illustrators, anyone in the creative community that still doesn't understand that anything generated using artificial intelligence will not get copyright protection. If they're in the business of protecting whatever they create, then they sincerely should not consider using any generative AI works, period. You could try and try and try again. The US Copyright Office has made it extremely clear that anything generated using AI will not get copyright protection. The DC District Court has ruled that anything generated with AI will not get copyright protection. Now, if you don't care, that's a different story. Have at it. Go have fun. Create any single generative AI artwork that you could fathom that it connects to your book whatsoever. Please, the door is wide open. Have at it. It's like an open buffet. Just pile up the plate with everything. It's all good. But we have to have this conversation that sincerely, because there are people that could care less about it. And if they don't care about copyright protection or enforcement, all good. It's a different conversation if you are in the business of making sure that whatever you create, you don't want someone else to misappropriate it or infringe on it. So if you are in that business, if you're in that latter school of thought where you invest time and effort into making something and you don't want someone to take advantage of it or use it for their own benefit in a way that you didn't approve, using generative AI platforms is not going to be the answer. The answer is going to be either illustrating it on your own organically or having another human author illustrating it on your behalf. Now, obviously, that gets the work made for hire situations. We've talked about it before. You would need a work made for hire contract that makes it clear that the illustrator is going to do the work, but ultimately, whatever they deliver is going to be your final product, and you will be the copyright owner. That would all have to be laid out in a work made for hire agreement between you and the independent contractor. And if that's the case, then obviously, once you have that contract and that legal parameter in place, that's where it's totally fine then to have that as a perk within your Kickstarter campaign. But again, right now, we just have no regulation with generative AI platforms, except to the extent that it won't get copyright protection. Mm-hmm. It's not illegal to generate artwork using AI. I think that that's also important to stress. There's something illegal about it. Right. Obviously, there are pending lawsuits against these AI platforms like OpenAI, like Stability AI and Midjourneys, where they're being accused of ingesting data, copyrighted material that belongs to other people. That's a different conversation that does not involve you, the user. That's really more of a concern for the actual creators of those AI platforms. But for now, you can use them. If you don't care about copyright protection, it is literally at your disposal. You can do whatever you want. You can make anything you want, and it's totally fine. But if you are in the business of protecting your IP and making sure that no one takes advantage of it, I would highly discourage you from using any generative AI works and, going about it the right way, and certainly the kosher way for sure.
For sure. And we want to make sure that as you're making this decision, that you are thinking about the future of this. You don't want to limit yourself to, well, I can do it right now, so I'm going to do it right now, and then not be able to use it later, or have issues with it later, or have problems with it later. So make sure you're really thinking about the longevity of your author career and how you're going to do this. You also want to think about the ethical side of this. This is a hot button issue inside of this industry. Very, very hot button issue. So make sure you really take that into consideration before you do something like this, because people feel all kinds of ways about this. The other thing you want to do is if you do make the decision to use artificially intelligent generated content inside of your Kickstarters or anything related to your books, there are certain terms of service you have to read through on the programs you're using. Some of them are just open that you can do whatever with. Some of these programs that are using some kind of proprietary AI do have regulations on what you can and cannot use them for. And you may not be able to use them for commercial use. You may only be able to use them for personal use. So reading through the terms of service before you pick a program is very important as well. But if you've got questions on this, because we know you do, go ahead and drop those down below. Tony's coming back for upcoming episodes. We're going to keep discussing Kickstarters. We're going to keep discussing AI in publishing. We have a full playlist on the legal, ethical, and creative side of AI in publishing to make sure you're using the right things and not the things that are going to get you in trouble. So drop your questions down below. And as always, if you've got questions for Tony, you can reach out on social media. Tony, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at the IP Professor. And you can check out my entertainment law podcast called End Scene, with new episodes dropping every Friday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Drop your questions down below. Tony's coming back for upcoming episodes, helping us navigate the legal side of the publishing space. And we've got lots of episodes coming up on how you can legally, ethically, and creatively be using AI in your publishing journey to make sure you're doing the right things and not the things that could cost you some copyright protections. So drop those questions down below and follow along for daily videos helping you navigate the world of publishing, from your writing to your publishing to your marketing. Make this your most profitable year ever with the least amount of stress, overwhelm, and time commitment on your content creation. We'll see you then.